I'm Krista, and this is Erin Mrozek, and we're here to help you be a better landlord. Erin, thank you so much for joining me today. You are a very special guest from the LegalZoom team. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what LegalZoom is?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for having me today. So, my name is Erin Mrozek. I am our Senior Director of Product Marketing Research and Insights at LegalZoom. And what that means is I help to figure out which products we can help our small businesses start, grow, and mature as they go through their small business journey.
That is absolutely fantastic. And, the reason that we brought you in today, beyond the fact that we're really excited about our partnership, is that there is a requirement that many landlords and folks who have an LLC might not know about, but the deadline to fulfill this requirement is coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the requirement is called, it's a long one, Beneficial Ownership Information Report. Some companies will call it BOIR, some will call it BOI. It's a new compliance requirement, and this was created under the Corporate Transparency Act. Essentially, what it does is it requires businesses to disclose the identities of the individuals who directly or indirectly own 25% or more of that business. And what the Corporate Transparency Act is trying to do, it's a US law, it's overseen by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. It's trying to combat financial crimes. And so there's money laundering, tax fraud, corruption, terrorist financing. And sometimes when there's a smaller company out there, it's hard for the government to make sure that they're on the up and up. And so the goal of this act is to increase that transparency around who owns and controls each business. And so while the goals of this act are really positive, we know it can be pretty complex to stay compliant.
Yeah, it sounds like there could be quite a few moving parts. So, in terms of the BOR, what is the deadline to get that done?
Yeah, so the act came into place at the beginning of this year. So if you are a small business and you have formed prior to January of 2024, your deadline is coming up. It's the end of December of 2024. So you only have a couple months left. If you registered your business with the Secretary of State this calendar year, so from January and beyond, you had 90 days to do it. Meaning if you registered your business January 1st, you should have already filed this document by the end of March of this year.
Ooh, okay. That is really good to know, especially because I just ran a survey on our landlord audience, and it turns out 60% of the people who qualify and should be filing their BOR have not yet. So, really glad that we can introduce you and LegalZoom to help facilitate that process. With that in mind, I'm curious, could you tell us a little bit about the cost of filing the BOR if there is one?
Yeah, so when you come to LegalZoom to file your board, there is a cost. It's $149. And what that does is it ensures that all of your questions get input accurately. We send it off to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. We get it filed on time and quickly. And on top of that, we provide a 100% accuracy guarantee, which means if we were to do something in error, we will cover that cost to you. If you were to go to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network directly to their website, you could file it for free. So that is an option. The challenge there is they don't have compliance specialists that you can give a phone call to if you have any questions or concerns. And obviously, whatever you enter is on you. It's a government site, and so there is no accuracy guaranteed.
Ooh, and that can really cost people, whether it's just their time or I don't know, maybe there are even fines that could be associated with doing this incorrectly.
There
Yeah.
are. There are very significant fines, actually. This is of all of the compliance paperwork that a small business has to do, which there's a lot. This one has the steepest fines, actually. It actually can come with imprisonment if it's not done correctly. It can have fines up to $10,000, and it can have civil penalties up to $591 per day. So it's pretty severe, actually.
Ooh, yeah, with penalties like that and the potential cost again of your freedom, your time, your money, that 149 to LegalZoom to make sure that everything is on the up and up is pretty much an investment in my eyes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what should landlords expect from the BOR filing process if they're working with LegalZoom?
So when you visit LegalZoom.com, we will have a simple questionnaire that you will fill out. You will include things that you know about yourself. So your name, your identity, your birth date, your current residential address. You'll also need to include anyone else that is owning your company at 25% or greater. And if you formed your entity prior to January 1st of 2024, and you yourself did not complete the formation paperwork, you would have to include the individual who completed the formation paperwork on your behalf. And once you answer all of those questions, it's fairly simple. And if at any time you get stuck, we have a 1-800 number. You can contact our compliance specialist. They'll help you through that hurdle. There's also a chat feature. We will submit it and it will be sent over to FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and you're off to the races. There's nothing more that you need to do. If something within those details changes, so let's say you've changed ownership, you've changed your residence, anything like that changes, you have 90 days to go in and file a new report that updates your information.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And once again, kudos to the compliance specialists. That does raise another question for me. Is this a process where moving forward, if there are those kinds of changes, like a change in ownership, someone would have to refile their BOR, or is it kind of a one and done situation?
Yeah, so you would have to refile your board, meaning if you have a new partner or there is a new individual that is owning the business, or even if your current residential address has changed, you would have to file a new report within 90 days of that change going into effect.
Wow. Okay. So if someone is working with you guys, let's say we get past December 31st, it's now the new year, we're enjoying 2025. If they've worked with you before, could they reach back out and say, "Hey, we have this update. Can you refile for us?"
Yep, so they can reach back out. However, it does start the process over, meaning you have to start the questionnaire from the beginning, make sure all of the data fields that you enter are updated and accurate, and then you would pay the $149 to refile the report.
That all makes sense to me. I'm curious, will landlords and other small business owners see any kind of impacts after completing the BOR process?
No, there really are no impacts to it. So this is really just to improve transparency with the government that no financial crimes are taking place. The government is not looking to share your information or come in and check in on you. It's just merely them having the ability to know who is running what in this country. So there should be no future impacts. But if there are concerns, you can quickly and easily Google that or even visit the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network website and they can walk you through everything that they're going to do with that data.
Wonderful. And we will include a link to that down below so you could just take a quick look, start parsing around, and see what questions pop up. I'm curious. So, obviously, LegalZoom is critical for people who are going to file the BOR, but we work with you in other capacities as well here at TurboTenant. We didn't prep this, but I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about what LegalZoom offers and why folks should check you out.
Yeah, so especially for your landlords that are listening, we help millions of small businesses every year. And that's everything from forming your entity, changing your entity and using a DBA if you wanted to, setting up a website, doing your bookkeeping, and even coming in and getting the rest of your compliance needs met. So that could look like this beneficial ownership information report. It could look like your annual report that is due in certain states. It could look like updating your registered agent, making sure that you have all of your business licenses and permits in check. So we have a tool where you can go in and find out exactly what kinds of business licenses you need by your state, by your industry, by your jurisdiction, get
Wow.
the report as well as the links to go and file all of that. And then let's say that you have a business where you do need trademark protection, copyright protection, patent protection. We offer all of those services as well. And so there's just a wealth of things that small businesses can utilize through LegalZoom at typically a much more affordable rate than going through a third-party attorney.
That's wonderful to hear. And, as the one-stop shop for landlord software, we really pride ourselves in finding similar businesses with similar ethos about bringing things together, making it as simple as possible for everyday landlords to excel in their business. So, really appreciate our partnership with LegalZoom. One more question from me for now. I'm curious, are there any common mistakes that you've seen people making when they're trying to file the BOR on their own?
Yeah, so again, it's their own personal information. So a lot of times it can simply just be typos.
Mhm.
But the part that some people can get really caught up on is who is the owner in this company? Do I have to acknowledge that my spouse is involved in this? Do I acknowledge my children? If this is a family business and my cousin and I are doing this, do they have 25% ownership in it or not? And so really determining who needs to be listed on it is where people can get caught up. And that's where our compliance specialists really help them out to understand how they're running their business, who is a part of it, and can give them the guidance on who to include on that report.
Fantastic. Erin, thank you so much for your time today. And listeners, please spend the $149, work with LegalZoom to make sure that your LLC has its BOR properly filed. It will save you so much heartache and headache versus, I don't know, going to prison because you messed up a typo here or there or you didn't know how to do it yourself. If you'd like to check out this deal, you can log into your TurboTenant account and all of the information will be under the Toolbox tab. So please do yourself a favor, check it out today. Erin,
Thank you
thank
for
you
having
again.
me, Krista.
Yes, thank you so much. You have been wonderful. If you have any questions out there about the BOR or compliance in general, please leave them in the comments down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.